The Injured Senior Podcast is here to help. Like it or not, the senior and elderly population is vulnerable to negligence committed by medical professionals, nursing homes, assisted living facilities, pharmaceutical and medical device companies, insurance companies, and everyday individuals and businesses. Your host, Steve Heisler, creator of the National Injured Senior Law Center, has been advocating for seniors' rights for over 30 years and is bringing you answers to your questions. This is the Injured Senior Podcast.
You are listening to the Injured Senior Podcast. This is Steve Heisler, and I have been speaking with Pat Moffet, author of the book and movie, The Ice Cream in the Cupboard. So, Pat, what was your general experience with the nursing home that you had to put Carmen in? You know, we have a lot of listeners are in long-term care facilities who have families in long-term care facilities, and I'm just wondering if the level of care that is accorded to early onset Alzheimer patients is of high quality.
Well, that's of course the first thing I had to do when those doctors that I referred to before saying that she really needs this 24/7 care. We recommend she don't go home. And I was crushed with that, but I had to get moving with my family, and we looked at a couple of different facilities, and there was one that wasn't too far away from my house. So I wanted to keep something convenient so I could go back and forth. And it had its own dementia section, which I thought was important. So they weren't, except for maybe just having meals, they weren't constantly mixing with the entire population for the rest of the day. And I liked the way that people spoke. I sat down with them. I spoke with nurses, and there were just tremendous, tremendous people that I really enjoyed. Some things that people should remember, though, if you're going to visit your loved one, don't go the same day, same time, all the time. Because, they're very busy. These people will urinate on themselves and so on. They have to be changed. And sometimes when, not this particular facility, but I've heard of others that, they say, well, Pat Moffet, he doesn't come up here till 2 o'clock. So even though she's wet at noon, let's not change it till about 1:30 before he gets here. So they anticipate you coming and push that off. Meanwhile, she's dirty, and, with urine on her and maybe feces, who knows? So that's one thing I always try to bring out. Just don't try to keep the same patterns and the same times all the time.
Did she get any other type of ailments or any other type of medical conditions when she was there?
No, not at all. Nothing. But on the very last day, they called the nursing home, called me at the office about 9:30 in the morning, and they said, all of Carmen's organs are now starting to fail. And this is because of the Alzheimer's. And they said, we suggest you pull your family together and try to get down here because we don't think she's going to last this night. So I got the family together. My daughter actually is a doctor in Baltimore. And so she drove all the way up to New York when she got this word. And she came up, and that's a hell of a trek to make from Baltimore to New York in rush hours. And she made it up in about 4 hours and change. It was an amazing time. But she got there, and we had the whole family. And about 9 o'clock that night, Carmen passed away, and we were all sitting there.
Oh, yeah, it's really good that at least the whole family was there to be able to say goodbye to her. Exactly.
And that's how much they can tell. Again, a good facility following up on things. They didn't call me up and say, hey, your wife died 4 hours ago. Nobody called you. They were able to anticipate this. They had the doctors. They knew the case. They studied these cases very well. And she was a very, very bad case. So we were able to get that time thanks to them.
That's awesome. That's what everyone should strive for is if you're going to put your loved one in a facility, you want to do your research and make sure you're going to get them in a facility that is top notch. So our time is kind of winding down, Pat. Let me ask you this, though. How many caregivers in your, I guess, that you know of, are there in the United States that are related to Alzheimer's or other dementias?
Well, there is usually about 4 caregivers per case. So you could have, there are 5 million, I think, Alzheimer's cases. So, you really have almost 20 million caregivers that are in and out of this situation, including professional companies and family. So it's a lot of people out there, and that's why I call myself the caregiver that takes care of the caregivers. I'm the perpetual caregiver. I'll always be that. And by talking to people like you and getting a little word out, maybe I'll help someone by doing that. You see the movie, you learn something from it. It's a movie that will teach you, or read the book. There are things that you can learn out of it. And that's the biggest part for me, is the awareness.
Great. Yeah, I think that you definitely gave some very valuable information today. Can you tell us just quickly, can you just give us a little information about the book and the movie? How
I wrote the book in 2009, and these are putting in these stories. The book was, of course, it has its violent parts to it, which stuns the readers, and I wanted to get that onto the screen, but I didn't want to make a whole movie of violence. So that's what I did, and I actually ran into someone on an airplane that was an author, and we exchanged books, and they happened to be a producer in Hollywood. And I got a call, and it said, you got to make a movie out of this thing. This is like an amazing story, and that's how we really got going. So now we're on to Amazon Prime, free for Amazon Prime customers on YouTube, Google Play, Apple TV, iTunes. So it's quite around on all the different channels.
That's great. Do you recommend that caregivers see the movie?
I do recommend it, but not alone. It might be something that it kind of tears you up a little bit. When you have a chance to see it, you'll understand what I mean. That sure. It will take you down a couple of notches. You'll have to have a box of Kleenex with you. And so I kind of recommend, see it because you're going to learn from it, but it'd be good to see it with somebody else.
Got it. Let me ask you this, Pat. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, let's say we've got a caregiver or someone whose family member or spouse is suffering from early onset Alzheimer's, how can they get in touch with you if they wanted to ask you some questions or get some advice from you?
Well, I think the best one would be Garrison, Garrison, books 2014 @gmail.com.
Okay, and what's your website address?
PatMoffet.com, and you can leave a message there as well.
Great. Are you on any social media at all?
At the moment, we're working on a ton of different things, and we have of course, we have the website pages and that, and we have a YouTube. We're on YouTube, and that's really about it right now. Okay.
Well, that's that. If anyone needs to get in touch with you, they have ample ways to find you. Pat, thanks so much for coming on. I know that you're real busy and you're involved in a lot of different activities on behalf of Alzheimer's Association and caregiving. So I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your experience. And obviously you have vast, just so much knowledge. We couldn't all get into this show, but hopefully we can get you back on and talk some more about caregiving for early onset Alzheimer patients. I'm looking forward to having you back soon. Okay. Injured senior and aging population community, thanks for listening to today's episode. I want to again thank Pat Moffet for appearing on the show today. If you love the Injured Senior podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give us a review on iTunes. If you want to share your story, maybe about your own experience with a loved one with early onset Alzheimer's, feel free to email me at steve@injuredseniorhotline.com or go to our website, www.injuredseniorpodcast.com. And right on the homepage, you can leave a message. And I respond to all messages and emails. And you can also just get so much good information off of the website, injuredseniorpodcast.com. So until next time, thanks so much for being here today and listening to this episode. I'm looking forward to next week's show. Stay safe, and I will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Injured Senior Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, please rate, subscribe, review, and share on Apple, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with us at injuredseniorpodcast.com and sign up for our newsletter. To find out more or to get help at any time, visit injuredseniorpodcast.com or call 855-622-6530. That's 855-622-6530.